Welcome to another episode of the Breaking Into Tech Sales podcast. Today's guest is Karen Svein. She is an SDR leader and she's a veteran. She's hired, managed, trained, coached, interviewed hundreds of SDRs. And in this episode, she actually shares some of the specific things she's looking for when she's interviewing SDR candidates. So watch this episode, pay attention to what she's talking about when she talks about being you in an interview, being authentic, being genuine, because that matters. Another thing we get into is actually career development and why you think you want to be an AE, but you might not actually want to become an account executive after you do the SDR role. So guys, enjoy this episode. And by the way, if you need help getting into tech sales, I do one-on-one coaching. I will help you go get a great tech sales offer in the next month. There's a link below to meet with my team to see if we can help you. And if you're not quite ready to go on that job search and you want to try to figure it out on your own, maybe just dip your toe in, there's another link below that is my free Breaking Into Tech Sales guide. Once you click that link, you'll sign up totally for free, join a community of other job seekers where they're sharing tips, wins, all of that. But you're also going to get access to my free Breaking Into Tech Sales guide that is a step-by-step resource showing you exactly how to apply to jobs to actually land interviews, how to crush those interviews, and how to get job offers. So no matter what you need help with, we're here to help. And enjoy the episode. Cool. Well, guys, I have Karen Svein in the house, and she has been an SDR leader for years. She's an expert. Karen, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, your background. Basically, why should we listen to you?
Because I've done it, right? I started out as a BDR. I have had the call metric quotas. I have done all the meetings and the rebookings and the no-shows, and I've done it. And then I've grown into leading people who want to do it. And let's be honest, no one wants to be a BDR forever. So it's always a transition job. So people come in and they want to do it for a while, but really as short as possible. And I help people on that journey, right? I help people find a way to learn everything they need to learn and get their feet wet and really understand sales. And do I want to be in sales? And what do I want to do? And then get the most out of this job, because it's a fantastic job. It's a wonderful playground to, don't get me wrong, it's a hard job, but it's a fantastic job to really hone your skills and deliberately say, I'm going to try something new today, and I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to take a step up, and then I'm going to do something else, and I am carving out my career path, and that's fantastic, and I love this job.
That's what I love about the SDR role too, is you really do get a lot of agency and control over your career path.
Yeah.
You've got to get through this proving ground we call the SDR role. It's really hard. It'll squeeze you. It'll teach you.
Yeah.
But if you can get through that, then you really can kind of control where you go from there.
And you'll learn skills that you will need forever. And that once you have those skills and you lean into it as a tool in your toolkit, you will have a step up towards anyone else who is leaving the prospecting behind, right?
Yeah. One thing I encourage people to do is, if they're interested in the SDR role, is go find other leaders in the SaaS industry, like the VPs of sales, the CROs, even the CEOs. Scroll way down on their LinkedIn employment history. See if you can find SDR or BDR.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them at some point, they had to learn how to develop business.
Yeah.
So, Karen, how long have you been an SDR leader, ballpark?
7-ish years.
7-ish years. Okay. How many SDR, BDR teams have you run?
So I run at two separate companies. I run sort of how you define it, but I run sort of enterprise teams and mid-market teams, SMB teams, run different global teams, EMEA, North America, APAC for a while as well. So I feel like I've met a lot of candidates. I've met a lot of people who want to be in sales, or people who think that they want to be in sales, but they don't know. But and BDR is SDR is a really good way to figure that out real quick.
Perfect. So you are battle tested. You've probably done hundreds and hundreds of interviews, and you've probably hired over 100 candidates at this point. So really looking forward to kind of going into your brain today and figuring out, what can we take away, the listeners, and carry into our next interviews, right? For these SDR, BDR jobs. So, what are your top three favorite interview questions, or what are like the top three things you look for in interviews?
Yep. So I always start by asking them, tell me about what it is about the job description or the company that's standing out to you that made you want to have this conversation today.
Mm. Hmm.
Um, I'm not looking for sort of any, this is not a fail question. I don't ask fail questions, but I'm looking for how do they phrase it? What is it that they're looking for? Um, have they read the job description, or are they just like, oh, this is a BDR role, or this is a remote position? What is it about it that they are triggering, that they are looking for? Um, I'm also sort of low key trying to figure out if they've done the research on the company.
Yep.
Do they understand what it is the company does? How do they fit in? How can they relate to it? I've been lucky that um, I have sold things to sales, meaning that it's very tangible to um, to a BDR to say this is why we do it, right? So there's a very direct correlation between their day to day and the product that they sell.
Mm.
Um, and that is very, can you do you understand that from
Yeah.
an early age? Like, do you understand it going into it that there is a correlation?
Yeah.
Um, in other industries and with other software companies, it's different. With if but it's having them show you pretty quickly that they understand what it is they're about to talk about, right? Like,
Yep.
what is it that we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's good. So we'll go to the other two in a second. Let's pause here because this is a great way to quickly weed out a candidate,
Yes.
right? Like if they've done no research, I've been on interviews with SDRs where we jump on. I'm like, hey, great to meet you. I've got your resume pulled up. Tell me like what stood out to you about applying to this company
Yep.
or in your research or whatever. I've literally seen candidates go to Google, open a tab, type in my company's name, and like quickly like read like, oh, you guys optimize efficiency of KPI funnels. I'm like, oh Lord, like
Yeah.
you didn't research at all. And I understand there's pushback of like, well, I have 20 job interviews. Cool. What I instruct my clients to do is to go to like Grok or ChatGPT, do the research button, and just prompt it. Say, hey, when was this company founded? Who's the CEO? What is the persona? What is the pain? What is the value prop? And what is a case study I can reference?
Yep.
If you get that prompt back and you roll into that interview with, oh yeah, I know you guys were founded in 2019. You're a Series B company. Karen Svain heads up the ship over there. But really, what caught my eye about you guys is you're really solving the problem. So you insert that pain for
Yep.
persona for marketers who are struggling with attribution. And the way you help is by a unified dashboard. But the case study that caught my eye was where you guys were able to help Amco, 3x their ROAS because you were able to implement your software. So that's really what stuck out to me in the research.
And honestly, it can be as simple as I was on your website and I saw that Louis Vuitton is one of your customers. It is my favorite brand of the whole wide world, and I noticed that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be um super sales process oriented, because
Right.
I will teach you sales process.
Mm.
Once you're onboarded, I will teach you all those things that you need to know in order to do your job. But what I can't teach you is the curiosity. And
Yeah.
so those are the things that I'm looking for in an interview. I'm looking for what we're doing right now, a conversation,
Hmm.
right? Can you actually hold a conversation, or are you expecting a Q&A session? I'm not going to
Yeah.
give you a Q&A session, because guess what? A cold call is not a Q&A session. It
Yeah.
should not be a Q&A session.
Right.
So I'm looking for, can you think on your feet? And
Hmm.
so my next question that I always ask, and I know I'm mixing everything up for the
No,
agenda
you're good.
one,
Hit it.
but the
Let's
next
go.
question I ask is a little bit further into the interview, is tell me about a time where you got really challenged, really
Mm.
out on the deep end in your personal life. You're challenged and you solved it. Tell me about what happened. What did you do?
That's good. Wow.
I'm hoping for, a crazy story about, I was backpacking through Thailand and something happened and I had to figure out, my train left without me and I had to figure out how to get on. Like, I'm, it's sort of a curveball question, but I'm trying to learn something about them as a person, and
Mhm.
I'm trying to learn about how they think in quickly, right? Like when they're not
Yep.
expecting um,
Yeah.
a question like that. And it's also because, I mean, everyone loves Simon Sinek, right? I'm looking for their why.
Yeah.
What is it what that drives them, that motivates them? Are they an athlete and they're telling me about the time that they trained for a marathon and how challenging it was to go through that kind of repetitive training program and giving up on social events and really going for that goal, and they did it, and it was all worth it at the end.
Mhm.
um, that tells me a lot about a person, and that's really, when I interview, that's really what I care about. It's the person behind. Why
Yes.
are you looking for this career? What is it that drives you to get this career?
Yep.
Because, as I said, it's a hard job. And if you're not driven by anything other than Karen's going to tell you to make 50 dials in a day, this job will be the worst job you will ever have.
Correct. Yes. You have to have that intrinsic motivation. And
Yes,
if the why is strong enough, the how is easy. I'll teach you how all day. But
exactly.
if you don't know why you're doing this, then I am not confident you have enough conviction and resilience to push through how hard this job is. And so I think this is where, especially me coming out of college as a new grad, very not corporate. Like I had not done any corporate things growing up. I was very afraid to be transparent with managers because I thought like I had to be so professional and so polished. But what I actually learned through my first interview process as an SDR, I actually got asked a very similar question, right? Like, what was your biggest failure in life? I don't know why. I decided to share my drug addiction story and like how I was in jail and how I like threw my life away and how I was able to get back on my feet. And because of that, that experience shaped me into who I am today. And it was like the most honest answer I could have given. It was scary because it's a professional environment.
Right.
They loved it. They were like, "Okay, this guy's gonna work hard because
Yeah.
he's already like been given a second chance. He knows, the pressure on his life now
Right.
and the expectations." So, long story short, I guess the encouragement there to the listeners would be, you're hearing me say it, you're hearing Karen say it. Be real when you get asked about
Yes.
like what drives you or failure or growth. Share that like deep life why. Maybe you grew up poor and you don't want your family to be poor. You can say that. That's totally okay to say, right? Maybe you didn't have like great parents. Their marriage wasn't great. They left, whatever. If you can figure out how to say that, not in like a super deep, weird way, but like, hey, I want to be the leader that, my dad wasn't, or something like that.
Right.
Um, we will buy in on you emotionally. Is that fair to say?
It's completely fair to say, and I mean, not everyone will have that level of why that you
Correct.
do. Um, but the why is there for everyone. And it can be as simple as, I want to travel the world.
Yep.
I want to live my life to the fullest and not have financial regrets. I want to be able to go to Thailand. I want to be able to go on those trips. I want to be able to have a good life. That's a perfectly fine why.
I will
But
take that why all day.
right.
Yep.
But I people buy from people.
Mhm.
That's why I don't believe in cold scripts, and I don't want a Q&A session, because what is real is the human connection. So the human connection of, I'm calling you up. You weren't expecting my call, but here's why this is relevant to you, and I can provide you something real to take with you when we're done with our 90 seconds together. That is the essence of this one role. It is to make that human connection. So
Yep.
in an interview session, show me who you are. Show me what you care about.
Yeah.
And I have interviewed people who, have posters of Taylor Swift in the background because they
Mhm.
love Taylor Swift and they want to go to every single concert that she has. Guess what? That costs money.
Yeah, that's a good why. That'll
That's a
make it
good
difficult.
why. That's a perfectly okay why.
Yeah.
And and I have had people who say, look, this is a stepping stone. I want to be in sales. I'm from a family of salespeople. My parents are both VPs of sales. I want to be in sales, and I know that I need to pay my dues by
Mm.
being a BDR. Okay, go show me.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so what would the don't be here in this situation? Like, I can speak from my experience. The don't for me is like, don't not have a why. Like, come prepared with a why. You need to bring a why, something that's real, something will feel, even if it is, to your point, Taylor Swift concerts. Are you passionate about that?
Yeah.
Because if you are, then cool, I'm bought in. Let's go. I know you're going to work hard. But if you come in here without a why, then again, I don't have that clarity that you have the conviction to push through the hard things.
Yes. Um, I mean, some don'ts are easy, right? Don't not do your research, right?
Mhm.
Make sure you have prepared who you're talking to, why you're talking to them, what you want to get out of this interview, right? Um, don't be on your phone. I mean, it sounds like it sounds silly, right, in this day and age, but don't be on your phone. Don't like lean back on your bed
Yeah.
as you're interviewing, right? Like that's because that's pulling me into sort of an intimate space that I don't want to be in when
Yep.
I'm interviewing you.
It's funny you say some of this stuff, Karen, but like, guys, it's true. Like, I've done these interviews too, and the bar is low sometimes. Like,
You're always seeing
show
that.
up, dress professionally, good
Yes.
lighting, make sure your background's good, no one's coming in and out of your room. Like, these are just table stakes, but if you violate any of them, it's going to be an immediate disqualification.
It unfortunately it is. Yes. And our attention span is not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It and I
From our
mean that's just
perspective,
for
we're in
anyone,
back
right?
interviews all day. I mean, we're going from boom, candidate, candidate. We're already kind of tired of these
Right.
conversations and
And literally, and I have unfortunately said these words at the end of the day, if I've had like 4 or 5 interviews and I don't remember you, you're not getting the job. If I
yeah.
don't have and it's awful because you could probably be a great SDR,
Yeah.
but unless you can stick in my mind as someone who wants to be there and someone who gets it, and I think that's the other thing when we're talking about this role. Understand the role.
Mm.
Don't come in and expect to be promoted to an AE in 6 months.
Hmm.
That might happen somewhere else. It won't happen with me
Yeah.
because you are here to learn, and learning takes time.
Yeah.
And in business development, if you do something now, it's going to take 6 weeks before you know if it worked or not. And you
Hmm.
have to let that play out a few times so you can show your your track record and you can show that you're showing up every day. You're building your internal brand, you're growing with the expectations, and you are leading the way where I have no choice but to promote you because you are doing everything right.
Correct.
Mm, But understand that this is your day to day for a while.
Mm.
And even if you do everything right, about a year in is when I'm going to go, so do you actually want to be in sales?
Mm.
Want to be in CS? Do you want to be in marketing? Do you want to be in pre-sales? What is it that you want to do? Now let's have a conversation about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. One of my old reps, he's a great rep. He would always say SDR is life.
Yeah,
And it just becomes like you've got to embrace and accept this is going to be a season of your life where you will be learning, you'll be humbled, you're going to grow a lot, it's going to be uncomfortable, but if you can make it through, then you'll come out on the other side with such a strong understanding of how business works.
Yeah.
And Karen, to your point, now you can go into marketing, or maybe you discovered a passion for the solutions engineering side, but you don't know that if you've never done it.
No.
It's very dare I say arrogant to think like, yeah, I want to promote in 6 months. It's like, oh, slow down, buddy. You got a lot to learn before we get there.
And I will say, every single BDR I have promoted out of the role and into sales, without fail, have come back to me 3 months later and said, "This role is not what I thought it was."
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
It's so
and
true.
and and that is not to knock either the BDR role or the AE role, but we have such a notion that I'm gonna be a BDR and then I'm gonna become an AE. But
Yeah.
it's okay not to take that route. It's
Yep.
okay to take routes to services, to customer success, to like there's so many routes in the go-to-market organization
Right.
where you learn. And here's another thing. When you're straight out of college, you have your whole life ahead of you.
Yes.
Your whole life. And your entire life up until now has been spent learning, practicing, practicing by repetition, right? All the essays you had to write in college, right? This is, you are still in that learning mode. This is another step in your learning path.
Mhm.
One, learning never stops. That's, you will never stop having, homework and
Karen, that's why we
relationship.
have books behind us. Learning never stops.
Exactly. Yes. You learn forever. Um, but I sometimes worry about the candidates that come in and say, I want to be an AE.
Mm,
Okay, what kind of AE?
mhm.
Because there are many different ways of being an AE. Is it SMB? Is it mid-market? Is it more like account management? That's another role that, we're starting to see more people lean into, which is sort of a hybrid between CS and business development.
Yep.
And I love that role. I think that's a great role to be more strategic and really drive ARR in a very, very meaningful way.
Mhm.
Um, but I worry that some people pigeonhole themselves of like, this is my one path. And then when they get there, they're like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the one thing I've always loved about SaaS is it is relatively easy to jump around between roles, right? So once you make it through SDR and you've got that on your resume, now let's say you go the AE route, 6 months in, you're like, ooh, I do not like this. If you're still a good hire and you're still a good teammate, you'll be able to like work cross functionally into another role,
Yeah.
right? Where hey, I'm much more like I want to try this account management thing, so I think SaaS is kind of forgiving in that way. Um, to your point, when you guys are coming in, listeners, when you guys are coming into the SaaS space, do not be narrow minded. Like I didn't know I was going to be an SDR leader. I thought I was going to go be an AE, go make 300K a year, and bye bye. Like that was it. But then I had to travel if I wanted to do that, and we were starting to have kids and all of these different things. Where I was like, wait, no, no. I also love helping my teammates.
Right.
Oh, SDR management, that's a thing. I can do this.
Right.
And yeah, I had no idea. So
And then you go, wait, is it this rewarding? Oh, this is kind of fun. I kind of
yeah,
enjoy this leadership thing.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, SDR management is the best, I will say. You have to love people though to do it.
Yes. And you have to love when people grab the opportunity and make the
Mm,
most of it and then kicking them out of the nest, which is
yeah,
which is one of my favorite things to do when I know that someone has, you've checked all the boxes, right? You met your metrics consecutively. You have built your internal brand. You know what you want to do. You've already connected with the people that can make it happen, right? That is a thing of beauty. It
yeah,
really
100%. Because you've done your part and you're sending off like the next leader, where in
Yep.
5 years one day they're going to be running some revenue org, and it's a thankless job sometimes, right? Being an SDR leader, but we know the impact we have on these young?
I keep tabs on every single person I have promoted. I know
I love
exactly where they are, and they get a big cheer every time they make a move on LinkedIn. Like I keep a very close eye.
Oh, that's beautiful. Good. I love that. I love that. Okay. So recapping so far, we've got what research did you do on the company? Like what made you want to apply?
Mhm.
And the second thing is more about like tell me about a time you went into hardship or
Yep.
a challenge and how you solved it. What is that third question you like to ask?
The third question might be controversial because
Mm.
um, it's not. Don't worry, it's fine. Um, it's active listening questions. It's something I'm a big proponent of in cold calling as well.
Yeah.
It's really letting the conversation flow and then sort of chew onto something that the candidate is saying. And whether that is, okay, tell me about how, if they have some experience, tell me what was your process? How would you figure out who to call?
Mhm.
And what would you say to them? Like, what do you think this person would care about? But it's always tying back to the conversation.
Yeah.
And it goes back to I can teach you how we use our tools, how we, what to say. I can coach you on tonality. I can coach you on a lot of things. But if you're not curious and if you're not coachable, I will struggle to make you successful.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I'm kind of looking for. And I'm looking for someone who can sit um, in the interview process where I use things like, Chris Voss and use pregnant pauses. And I just use them strategically just to see what's going to happen. What are you going to do? Are you going to ask me a question? Are you going to get nervous? And again, there's no right or wrong in this because it's all about the human connection. But what I want to do is give you the opportunity to show me who you are and what matters to you. So
I'm
it's
I'm so tempted to pregnant pause you so hard right now and just not say a word.
I'll,
I
I'll
love it.
keep going. The thing is, I'll keep going and talking about how important it is that you're authentic
Yeah. Yeah.
because you have to be your you in order to be successful as a BDR. So
Mhm.
show me who you are so I can see how can I, and this is a question I do ask, what can I do to make you successful?
Mm.
What do you need? How do we get this to, fireworks, to that perfect career path where you come in and you blow all the quotas out of the water and you're off to the career that you want to be in.
Yeah,
What does
that's
that look?
good. If you were to ask me that in an interview and I put myself in the shoes of being an SDR, how would you rate my answer if I said like, "Karen, I need you to be brutally honest with me because I know I have so much to grow in and learn in. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to show up every day, but I need you to be blunt with your feedback and help me get better." What would you think of that answer?
So I'm a very direct person as it is.
Okay.
I mean, there are certain mechanisms of this job that I speak very openly about. You have a quota to hit, you want to make money. Everything you do, any result you get should give you money, right?
Yeah.
So this
It's black and white
it's
that
a
way. Yeah.
commission-based role, right? So
Yeah.
I'm very honest about those things, including feedback, because if you don't get it, you won't grow.
Yeah.
And you can easily have a full day of 150 dials and you don't have a meaningful conversation. And that is so tough because you
Mm.
don't know that all the prep work that you're doing in your head, this is my opener. I'm gonna insert like a little haha or a little like funny tonality, or this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna get them and we're gonna have a great conversation. You have no idea if you're on the right path with all that mental work that you're putting into getting your cold call skills right because you're
Yeah.
you're not getting any feedback. So the
Yeah.
least thing I can do is give you feedback. So
Yeah.
I personally love that answer. And I also love that it's an answer that's insightful into this is how I work,
Mhm.
right? And this goes back to show me who you are, right? Your answer should be this is what I need, right? If it is, Karen, I know that I do really well if I'm accountable.
Mm,
I need to have like a daily stand up with my manager where I tell them what I produced.
mm.
Fabulous. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
That I can make happen, right? That I can make happen. But if you say I just need someone to pick up the phone, that's not something I can control.
Yeah, that's so good. And kind of the theme of what I'm hearing as you're asking these interview questions is in about 2 weeks, hypothetically, let's say you were to offer this person the job, they're going to be on the phones. They're going to be responsible for reporting into you daily.
Yes.
And so what you're trying to do is kind of like fact check, like, do I actually want this person on my team? It's so funny. I think we get lost in interviews of like all the minutia, but at the end of the day, listeners, you've got to realize like what Karen and I are looking for in these interviews is, can you be on the phones in 2 weeks from now? And are you going to be coachable and are you going to work hard?
Yeah.
If we believe in you as a person, we believe in your conviction, your why, your story, and you have presented yourself as coachable and hungry, then like we can work with you. That's good. But I
Yep.
think a lot of people get lost in like the veneer of what an interview should look like, where they don't even fully express themselves in those two
Yep.
arenas.
Yep.
So
And I have had candidates who are like, this is not the interview experience I expected. Like I'm completely thrown by how you insist on having a conversation. Right.
yeah.
But I'm like but that's the job, right? It's not, again, it's not a Q&A session. It is, and I'm trying to mimic in a real life scenario where you are working for me
Yeah.
and I'm acting as the prospect. How would this conversation go? Right? And if you're boring in an interview, you're going to be boring on the phones.
Mm,
So,
mhm.
if you're not able to connect with me, that's a problem. And
Yeah.
some of this is down to nerves. So obviously I do give a lot of grace when because it is, people are nervous, and that's okay. But but I like to think I'm not too scary to interview with. I try to be, very forthcoming and smiling and talking about things that they care about.
Yeah.
Um, but I think at the end of the day, you you need to understand what the root of the job is and how that correlates to the interview itself.
Mm. Yep. Yeah. Agree. Agree. Interviewing for the SDR role is both a science and an art. Are there right answers and right equations to balance and the right chemistry? Yes. And there needs to be this art of like, can you just conversate? Can you flow? Can we
Yeah,
connect
yeah.
emotionally? Do you trust me? Right. Especially being remote. I mean, my SDR interview was in person and I got to shake hands and I got to have my presence there as a human. Where now virtual, it's like really hard.
You have
I'm
this
looking at
much
your
to work with, right? Like this much to
I'm
work.
looking at your background. If your background's cluttered, I'm like, "Oh, you're probably not an organized person."
Yeah,
Like, we have so little data to go off of
yeah.
that it all matters. So, Karen, this was really valuable. Thank you for this deep dive.
Of
I
course.
guess the last question I have for you, you've done so many interviews now. What advice would you give to someone who's trying to break into tech sales that has no experience?
Think about what you have done that have given you skills that you are going to use.
Mm,
And by that, it can be everything from I played baseball, like travel baseball, which meant every single weekend for 3 years in a row, I had to go and play baseball. So I had to get up in the morning, I had to, do my thing, I had to practice, I had to yada, 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 yada. That kind of grit sets you up really well for a BDR role. Um, if you have studied for exams, if you have, like, there's so many things that you have done in life. If you have worked at McDonald's and you had the morning shift, you had to open at 5 a.m. because you needed to go to school at 9. Great. Awesome. Because again, goes back to the grit, punctuality. You you need the job to pay for things that you want, so you get up and you do your thing in order to
mm.
get the thing that you want. Again, you have a why.
Yeah.
So think about the context of again, I can teach you the tools. I can teach you how, you know, you probably know how to use a laptop, but there's a lot of things I can teach you that will help with this job. But show me that you understand what the job is.
Yeah.
I used to say that it's kind of like wearing a Fitbit.
Mm.
You have your goal and you start at zero every morning and you keep going until you hit your target, right? And that target might be 10,000 because that is what everyone says. It might be 8,000 because that's right for you, or it might be 15,000 because that's right for you. You set the target, but you have to be comfortable starting at zero every morning and keep going until you hit your goal. So again, that's completely irrelevant. But you know what? If you in an interview told me that for the last 5 years I have had a minimum of 10,000 steps every day without fail, I don't hate that.
Yeah, I don't
That
really care if you've not done sales. You've shown me the consistency, the discipline required right
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and I have hired people without any experience. I have hired people from very different backgrounds and they've been successful because they've been able to see what they're doing in their day-to-day lives, how they are working towards achieving their goals,
Mm.
and then how they correlate to attaining that within their professional lives as well. So
So good.
that's what matters.
So good. Karen, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
dropping
This was
all
fun.
the wisdom. Is there anything else you wanna say? Any shout outs or anything like that, or are we good to go?
Look out, I'll be hiring soon. So come
Hey,
for it.
okay. Okay. All right, Karen will be hiring. That's huge. So Karen Svein on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Anything else?
That's it. Go get it. Go
Yeah,
get your career.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
See the context. Represent yourself for your true self. Go get it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Karen, thank you.
Thank you.